gentlemen, I apologize that I give you Harvard studies that fluoride is brain damaging you and your family by design. And I apologize, as MSNBC says, I'm deeply racist with no evidence, that I reported that the Israeli Supreme Court has ruled that they must take the fluoride out because it is a carcinogen and brain damages people. And the source is the Israeli Health Minister's Office press release and Haaretz and Jerusalem Post. So I apologize for that racism. And I'm not being sarcastic. According to MSNBC, that is racism. And it's homophobic that to say that Andy Kaufman should not have been transgender and allowed to wrestle women. I mean, you know, it's the same deal. I mean, it's just madness, folks. They've got us all talking about, you know, can one day a guy can come into the girl's bathroom, the next day he can go to the boy's bathroom, or vice versa. It's all just the craziness of the globalists to get us obsessed with all these other side fights while we're all being annihilated by the New World Order. But I want to go to Kevin Booth for the balance of the hour, and we are exclusively the distributor of the DVD American Drug War 2 that gets into it. Kevin, in a nutshell, this is such an important film. I'd like to have a copy of it right here. Wall Street Journal calls it, this film is a game-changing moment for both the film entertainment industry as well as the cannabis industry. And it just exposes what a fraud all this is. But my biggest reason to decriminalize is that I know people all over the place having their kids taken. If they get caught with half a marijuana cigarette, they come take their kids and hand them over to, you know, literal pot-bellied pedophiles who will be convicted coke dealers and stuff. I mean, they are really coming after people that smoke marijuana, and the feds seem to be driving the train. But I guess it is good to take people's kids that smoke pot because Obama's a black president, and you got to do what he says or that's racist. So I guess you support Obama tripling the raids on cannabis dispensaries, right? Because you're not a racist, right, Kevin?
That's correct.
So you do support Obama.
How's it going, Alex?
Good. Hey, wait, what do you think of guys are going to be able to join the girls' wrestling team now?
I'm from Hollywood, baby. I don't talk like this. that Kaufman bit is classic. I love that. That's amazing. I'm from Tennessee. I don't talk like this. I'm from Tennessee.
No, but I mean, don't you want to get in the,
anybody who could beat me?
Why don't we take a 400-pound kid and then put him in the ring with some girls, let him wrestle him in the high school? I think that's a good idea. Because we want to be tolerant here and we can put a wig on him and a dress. How about the boxing club? We can let the boys beat the girls up because they're really girls too, Kevin.
Now, come on, Alex. I live in West Hollywood. Now, don't go crazy.
Kevin, there you go. So you agree with it. There you go. What about putting a wig on Mike Tyson and letting him get in the women's boxing league?
If I could bet on it, sure.
So that might actually be the way he could come back.
Yeah.
Exhibition fights, Mike Tyson versus women. You'd have to muzzle him, though, because he might bite him. But that's okay. Women get the same rights as Evander Holyfield now. Why don't we put them both in wigs? Say they're both transgender.
Oh, man. That's funny.
Is that what American Drug Wars are really about?
Yeah, you got it, man. You always throw me for a loop. I'm always ready to come on here, and I'm never ready. It's funny. It's funny, man.
So you are endorsing Mike Tyson entering the heavyweight women's league as a transgender athlete?
I hadn't thought about it until now, but yeah, I'll endorse that, sure.
I think I endorse it as well. Next, I'm going to be a guest on MSNBC. They'll go, now you're talking, Alex. Bring me in. I've always been curious by those women bodybuilders. They're just kind of, I don't know, I don't know, it's kind of creepy, and yet it's kind of erotic. I don't know. Well, Kevin, let's not get into your sexual fantasies here on air, okay? You're a major filmmaker. We're here to talk about that. The point is that those women are obviously taking a bunch of male hormones. Right. So they are men, basically. Yeah, that's pretty creepy. Did you know when the women take enough of those hormones, they actually grow an appendage? Okay, so I'm not allowed to talk about it, but you can talk about it. I did not know about this appendage, Alex. Tell me about the appendage. I'm not going to do it. No, I'm just giving medical facts here on air, buddy. All right, let's reset, go to break. Me and Kevin are old friends. This is not good here on air. Hey, we're going to come back and get serious about the film. This really is serious, how they're trying to block the non-THC attributes of hemp Stuff that doesn't even get you high, folks. You can smoke 50 pounds of it. Blocking that is medical treatments. We're going to talk about it. You can't even grow it in America, but everywhere else in the world. We're going to talk to the cannabis hemp expert, though he himself abstains from it, Kevin Booth. All right, let's just reset and get serious.
Okay.
Because, you know, like with Gary Webb, the hit teams are on the way. A little bit of gallows humor here straight ahead. I'm Bill Hicks, your host. We'll be right back. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com. The Wall Street Journal called the film a game-changing moment for both the film and entertainment industry, as well as the cannabis industry. And folks, I'm a serious person, but when I get with old friends and start joking around with comedians, I tend to shift into another mode. And by the way, this is a very serious film, American Drug War 2. That's something Kevin made with Bill Hicks back before Bill Hicks was even known as a comedian, obviously an icon of comedy today. But I was shifting gears out of that into American Drug War 2, Cannabis Destiny, and I just saw the guys in there watching a clip from Ninja Bachelor Party while we're talking about Andy Kaufman. I'm not only Bill Hicks, folks, I'm actually Andy Kaufman as well. And we are back live. Folks, if you're a new listener, you're going, what are you talking about? It's an online thing that I'm Bill Hicks, and it's comical to us, but also painful to the Hicks family, so we shouldn't joke about it, but very, very interesting. Kevin, we need to get serious and get into the new film, which I think I'm psychologically avoiding because it is so hardcore, and the persecution of people that even use marijuana that doesn't have THC medicinally. All right, Kevin, let's get serious here.
Okay.
In a nutshell, tell people why American Drug War 2 is so powerful and, quite frankly, hard to watch. I mean, because it makes me mad, it makes me angry. I know it's all true because I've researched the stuff that's in it. You know, the CPS, all of it, the denying the medical treatment, the harassment. I mean, this is really a powerful film. As the Wall Street Journal called it, it's a game-changing moment for film.
Well, you know, the whole time they've been selling the drug war agenda on everybody, it's all been about trying to protect the children, protect the children, protect the children. And so I thought, like, the best place to take the sequel to the original movie would be to how is the drug war really affecting the children? How is American drug policy, the so-called drug policy, really affecting American children and children all over the world? And, you know, what we see is just like that story that just happened recently in Round Rock where that 2-year-old girl was taken away from the parents because they smoked marijuana. And now the little girl was actually murdered by the foster mother. And it just goes on from people being denied to use the best medicine.
And by the way, the foster parent dad was a 2-time convicted drug dealer.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, they do a, you know, and my wife and I, we became foster parents not as some sort of like a stunt for a movie and all that, and people have accused us for that. That's fine. We actually
No, I mean, I've known you 18 years. You've been trying to have a kid. Yeah,
exactly. And so we decided to become fathers. 35,000
Yeah, but you shouldn't even bring up what trolls do. I don't want to give out your private medical info, but you and Trey have gone through hell to try to have a biological baby.
Yeah, we went through
that makes me very angry that people would say that, but go ahead.
You know, yeah, it's okay. I mean, but, you know, it's expected. So we decided there's 35,000 children here in the foster system in Los Angeles. So we decided to become foster parents. And you know, we were thinking, like, you know what, we won't get a baby. We'll start with somebody older. We're older. We're ready to, you know, have it. And so our first child that came to us was an 11-year-old girl who had been taken away from her mother. Her mother was in prison, various charges. I won't go into that because we're friends with her and she's back with her mom. Good, really good person. And this little girl is a completely normal little girl. And then all of a sudden they hand us all these prescription drugs and we find out that we have to give her Adderall in the morning and we have to give her a powerful barbiturate at night. And she just came directly from a foster home where they did this to all the children. And we're finding out that almost every child, in fact, finding children in the foster system that aren't put on powerful psych meds, ADD medication that's hard to find. Almost all the children in the foster system are put on powerful pharmaceuticals. And the ironic part, obviously, is that a lot of these children are being removed from their parents because they did drugs, including marijuana. Go figure. I mean, I've sat there in child protective meetings with these people that I'm friends with, and you hear like the thinking that they're going through where we were inside these people's house and, oh, we saw the bong on the coffee table, child's coming with us. It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you lose your children because you smoke marijuana that's, in every research and statistic, a lot less worse than things like alcohol. And then over 68% nationally of foster kids are on an average of 7 psychotropic drugs. And medical doctors have said, we take healthy kids and they're dead 2 years later. They are killing them. But Kevin, it's THX 1138. It's Brave New World. They're making all the troops take drugs as well. They want to wreck people's minds.
And the really sad part about it, I mean, the little girl in the movie, we were able to get her off the medication. We had to go through a long process because the thing is that if you just yank the medication, well, first of all, you could be playing with fire on a medical level to just stop the medication or to like mess with the cocktail that they give them, much less you could get in trouble and the child would just be taken away from you if you monkey with anything, and they're checking on you constantly. But we've since the movie gotten another foster daughter who is 16. And here comes like another tricky factor that you have to deal with in all this, and that she doesn't want to stop doing the drugs. She actually likes the drugs, you know, and so sometimes she seems like she's speeding out of her mind, and she's like spun as much as like anybody I've ever hung out with that's doing speed. And you try to like explain it. She understands the movie. She loves the movies, watched the movie 100 times, living with us. And yet when it comes to like, well, maybe we should back off of your medication, she's like, no, I love this stuff. You know, it's like, hey, you know, that's, you know, how is this going to turn out 10 years from now?
Well, we caught researchers up in Minnesota caught the police and became national news going and finding young kids on the streets and putting them by the hundreds in just one research case on hard drugs to then have them become dealers for them. So the truth is the whole system knows this. The government deals the drugs. They run it all. And they run the kids. They take the kids because your child broke their finger at the playground. Doesn't matter, you have witnesses. Or you go to have a baby and they go, oh, we found marijuana in your system. And then they're going to take your kid and put them on deadly antipsychotics that eat their brain. And they love it. They know exactly what they're doing. You're saying the average social worker just doesn't understand it. Well, that's because they were probably brought up the same way.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. It's such a huge, crazy system that you can't, when you get into the system, you find, you know, a lot of people are going, how did you get away with making this movie? You know, I'm surrounded by all these people. It's like such a big, crazy, broken system. There's nobody really to point the finger at. I mean, I'm surrounded by these people, and I could do whatever I wanted. It's not going to stop anything, change anything, or, you know, it's just so big and broken. And
people ask how, that'd be a good name of a film, Big and Broken. People, you're like too big to fix, you know, not too big to fail, too big to fix.
I already trademarked it.
Okay, good. but I mean, seriously, Kevin, that's it. People ask, how am I still alive? At a certain point, stuff is so screwed up. And it's been done by design, but it's like a perpetual motion machine, though.
Right.
Once they set this thing going, it just is going to eat society.
Yeah, I mean, you could sit there and be the whistleblower, and all these people are like, yeah, good point. I mean, I've sat in there in meetings with these doctors, and these are intelligent, you know, these are like cool, intelligent people, young, hip, you know, they're not old bureaucratic, you know, dummies. And, you know, look, I'm this guy, I do these lectures, and here's my films, and here's my message, and all these things, and oh, that's really interesting. And then it'll be like, okay, here's her refill for her medication, see you in 2 months.
See, that's what's so invincible about this spirit of not caring. It's beyond evil. It's like they'll even recognize what you're saying, but keep going on with it.
Right.
It's like when I flew back in from England, they said, do you have any drugs on you, blah, blah, and I said, no. And I go, and you know the government brings most of them in. And the guy went, yeah, I know that, so what? And I'm like, so it's only bad if I've got them, right? And then I went to the next lady, and she said, your passport's up in a year and a half. Why haven't you redone it? I said, is there anything wrong with me doing that? She goes, I go, you just want to act powerful, don't you? And she just looked at me and went, well, yeah, kind of. I was just like, what? I mean, I'm seriously, that conversation happened.
I believe it. Love those airports.
No, but I miss
going to airports with you, Alex. It's always a treat to go through an airport with Alex Jones.
I guess we have flown together.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah.
You ought to fly with Ventura. I think I flew with him like the last time he flew. I mean, it was literally like South Park meets Ventura. Women exactly like that. Same voice, same deal. Rubbing in between, grabbing on him. And it went on and on. They were giggling, taking shots. And Ventura, I mean, literally was beyond anger. On the flight over there, once we got to New Orleans, I mean, he was fuming. And he apologized 3 days later because we almost got into it. He almost got into it with other people. And I got why he was mad. I mean, he was totally violated. But see, it's bad that he felt violated, isn't it? He should just give in to it. To women and men knowing full well who he is, rubbing all over him and laughing.
I think the funniest story always was the Joe Rogan story, and people are going to think I'm racist maybe for saying this. It goes along with your theme today.
Oh, MSNBC, absolutely, you're racist.
But the Joe Rogan story, when he was like sitting there at the airport and the guy's like talking to him about Fear Factor. Do people really eat cockroaches? To mean all the Fear Factor questions while they're searching him, and then a guy with a giant turban.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. I've seen that exact type of stuff going on. Well, the Saudi Arabians don't have to get searched when they come into the U.S. because they complained.
Yeah, well.
And again, that's some of the real terror group is from there being funded by the government to kill Christians, but that's okay.
I guess it pays to own all the oil.
You know what? I think it's more than that. They're working with the globalists to be able to take over the West. It's all part of a dog and pony show.
Yeah. It's crazy.
The Saudis use the Muslim extremist excuse to enslave their people, but then actively run them. It's the same thing here. They're like, you want to try this? Yeah, we fund these guys. They even think they're doing it for Allah. Then you can enslave all your people. They'll never notice, a few years flip-flopping onto the Tea Party. They're like, sounds like a good plan. Yes, sir.
And what's interesting, too, is that a lot of this top marijuana research now is actually coming out of Israel. It's kind of a crazy, ironic twist. That
was racist to say the word Israel.
Oh, sorry. You can bleep it out on the I'm
not joking. I was at Barton Springs. There were 2 Hispanics guy and a white guy there, and they're sitting there in the water, and 2 of them get out. One white guy, Hispanic guy. I just say this so people know because it was they felt politically like they'd done something wrong as well. It's not just white people. And the Hispanic guy goes, and they were obviously been smoking pot. You could tell they were stoned. They go, man, let's go up to such and such, get that great Chinese food. Yelling like 20 yards to him, and they go, shh, don't say Chinese. And they were looking around serious. They think people now think the word, like if you say black, it's racist, or white, it's racist. I mean, this is what do you call this, Kevin?
Or Mexican. I've always been taught the word Mexican is the bad word.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's the evil word, right? That's the word you're not allowed to use.
Everything's bad.
Although Mexico is a giant country just right over there. Practically see it from here.
That's racist. Racist.
I don't know what seriously, you call it.
But the film's not just about that. You get into a child with cancer. Right. You follow that. I mean, it's incredible.
Right. Well, I mean, a big part of this, we're trying to tie in, the running theme of the film is children are the ultimate victims of all this. And a huge part of the film is this incredible saga about a little boy named Cash Hyde who's diagnosed when he was 2 years old with a peanut-sized brain tumor. And after having just huge radiation and chemo and surgery and all the horrible Western things, he's in a coma for 40 days, hasn't eaten for 40 days. The doctors are telling the parents to make funeral arrangements. And that's when the mother and father start sneaking in this cannabis oil, this highly controversial cannabis oil that's reportedly curing cancer all over the world. And the mother, who's a nurse, she's a registered nurse, so she knows what she's doing. They start putting this stuff into the little boy's feeding tube, and the little boy pops out of the coma And the doctors and everybody at the hospital are like, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. It was Christmas. They're calling it the Christmas miracle. And in the story, he's like, well, yeah, it's a miracle. It was a miracle of cannabis. And when the hospital staff finds out what they did, that's kind of where our story starts. And it's even like one of my favorite clips in there is when they're on Dr. Drew, and Dr. Drew is kind of like giving him a stern lecture for going against hospital. I know you're trying to save your child's life, but you should never go against hospital.
Well, you know, the CPS now takes kids if you ask for a second opinion.
Wow. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. There's no end to it. And, you know, it's, you know, we're in the middle of it right now. You know, I mean, Trey and I are, you know, we have another foster daughter right now, and it's a tough road, because once these kids get in this system, for them to like be able to adjust. And I mean, another problem too that we don't even go into in the movie is that once these kids are in the system, they become so dependent on everything. I mean, we had some foster girls with us a long time ago. They didn't even know how to make a sandwich. They didn't know how to use a microwave oven.
The important thing about the Pro One filter today is that the material we use for removing fluoride and other heavy metals now will remove the latest form of fluoride called hydrofluorosilicic acid. There's no other fluoride reduction filter out there that will remove that type of fluoride. And it's extremely important because today we're hearing more and more cities are using that form of fluoride.
We've been having medication forced on us through the water system for quite a while. Most people don't realize it. Most people don't realize the negative effects of fluoride.
There's a wide range of health effects that are attributed to fluoride.
Bottom line, why should somebody get this new Pro One Pro Pure filter?
The reason to buy the Pro One, it's an all-in-one filter. It's convenient, easy to use. It doesn't require the add-on fluoride filter. And in addition, this filter removes the latest form of fluoride called hydrofluorosilicic acid.
And you can get American Drug War 2, that the Wall Street Journal calls a game-changing moment for both film and entertainment industry, as well as the cannabis industry. And I got to be honest with you, I watched this about a month ago and almost had to turn it off because it's so sad. And I'm telling you, folks, because it's real and I have empathy. Anybody who has any humanity has empathy. This needs to be given to police and CPS workers. This is a powerful truth weapon, folks. And Kevin, I'm very excited. By the way, just briefly, coming up in the next hour, Saudi king calls on Arabs to stand with Egypt and to stand with the military because they say there's foreign attempts to destabilize and bring down the nation. That's Saudi Arabia breaking with the West. That's the truth, by the way. And I'm not defending the disgusting Saudi establishment, but they're not 1/10 as evil as the globalists, even though they're part of it. That shows really that Saudi Arabia understands the West did this to try to bring down the whole region into chaos, even, quote, allies. Yeah, they kicked Hosni Mubarak out 3 years ago, so I'm going to be breaking that down. This is a big deal. This could lead to just mega massive geopolitical events. Kevin, going back to American Drug War 2, available at InfoWarsStore.com, where folks can call 888-253-3139 to get it exclusively. Out of the gates discounted, $14.95. But ladies and gentlemen, this is exciting because I've read the reviews. Your last film was great, aired on, what was it, Showtime and a bunch of others. But this one's got even better reviews from what I've seen. I think is even a more hard-hitting. And even groups that normally you'd think would attack you, big magazines, conservative groups, Wall Street Journal, have come out and said this really changed their mind. I mean, I think you've hit it out of the park on this one.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, you know, there's just not a lot you could say when you watch a story, and I don't want to, you know, give a spoiler alert to the people out there that haven't seen it yet. And because, you know, I think the first time that you see it is when it really hits you the hardest. And having to edit such a sad, powerful film was an experience all of itself. You know, I mean, after working on this film, I need like a break. I need to go work on some silly stuff. You know, I need to do another Ninja Bachelor party or something. But yeah, I mean, there's just not a lot you can say when you watch how the things turn out for the children in this movie and like what happens to the children and there's no way you can disprove what happens in this movie. It's not some conspiracy. It's not something that anybody can doubt. There's just there's no room for doubt when you watch this film. And it's kind of interesting too that Sanjay Gupta just came out with this special on CNN the other night called Weed. And it's great. I mean, part of it's really great and it's cool that they're bringing it to the forefront, but it almost in a way mirrors American Drug War II, like thematically, and they focus in on a child getting cannabis oil that's having seizures and a lot of other things. They don't get into CPS or foster children, but they get into the research and the things going on with the CBDs and the non-psychoactive effects of all these other marijuana strains.
We'll stay there. We're going to come back. But, I mean, in the InfoWars magazine, we've had, like, hemp oil advertisers. No THC, different plant. And I get calls from, like, good old boy family going, what are you doing promoting marijuana? I mean, the level of ignorance about this is astounding. Stay there. We'll come right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now into hour number 3, finishing up with my old friend Kevin Booth. That's how I got to meet Joe Rogan back in like 1998. And he's a filmmaker, best-selling author. And he's made the new American Drug War II that really shows from all different angles how it's hurting children, the drug war. And it's available at InfoWarsStore.com. You support his work, my work when you get it there. But most importantly, you get a powerful tool to wake up, folks. Because, you know, whenever I talked about that little girl who got her Alexandria Hill, who got her head bashed in, reportedly by her foster mother, whose husband was a 2-time convicted drug dealer, because the neighbors smelled marijuana, and they came and asked him, do you smoke pot? And they said, yeah. So Williamson County took their kids, and the family lined up and said, yeah, shouldn't have kids if you smoke pot. And I heard people in the YouTube comments and saw the comments. People made videos saying, she deserves it. It serves you right, dopers. And I don't even smoke pot, as you know, Kevin. I mean, I've been at your house many times when you're having a movie showing or a party when you used to live in Austin. And, you know, I'd drink one beer and wouldn't smoke pot when people were smoking it. I mean, I don't smoke pot very often. And because I don't really like it particularly. But my whole issue is there's all these other medical things involved in it. And the demonization of pot smokers, this is how slavery works. Well, they're black, so they deserve to be slaves. You know, they're bad. Or they're pot smokers, they deserve to be slaves. This is just modern slavery that criminal groups want to feed on. And then you learn the government's pushing deadly psychotropics on little kids. They really are sick. And anybody that gets arrested or ticketed or takes somebody's kids for smoking marijuana, you're the criminals. You're as bad as the Nazis. You're dirtbag scum. I wanted to say that.
I agree. Yeah.
Well, closing comments, Kevin, and the whole point about people don't even get that hemp is something totally separate that's outlawed too.
Well, there's a lot of different aspects. I mean, if hemp has basically been allowed, you can grow hemp in every industrialized nation except for United States. Now, I think that's just recently changed in Kentucky, but American companies are allowed to make hemp-based products. You know, there's hemp like cereal and different grains and food and clothing and different fibers.
But they have to ship it in so they control it.
From China. Yeah. And something else I just heard from a top researcher, just some new information I got just this morning, and that some of these people, I'm in touch with a lot of people that travel around the earth, like looking for rare strains. This is like a big part of like this new movement and research and top cancer research and all this. They've discovered some little village in China recently where everybody living there is been eating this one type of hemp, and that grows the size of trees, and they use the hemp in their soups and everything. Oh
yeah, I read about that. I read about that.
And the average death age is like 110. Like they supposedly there's somebody that's like 130 something years old there, and the average death age is like over 100 years old. And these people never touch Western medicine, nothing. And so it's pretty incredible. So yeah, the government's done an amazing job at demonizing a plant and calling it some like horrific addictive substance, when really in reality, just back like 100 years ago, it was derivatives of cannabis and hemp were in every single doctor's little black bag, until David Rockefeller came in, basically created all the American medical societies.
It's always them.
Switched over the entire thinking of Western medicine from plant-based to chemical-based.
You know what? Stop
oil-based.
there. I'm going to hold you over 5 more minutes to give you the floor to give the history stuff that you break down as well, and really give us the cannabis news and how this is cannabis destiny. The film available at InfoWarsStore.com exclusively. But what's amazing, folks, is it's always the Rockefellers. They created Hitler. They created Margaret Sanger. They created the fake left movement to disenfranchise minorities and bragged how they do it. I mean, and you read the books they wrote. It's not like, you know, Kevin's saying the same thing I say because that's what he went and researched and found. I mean, it's just these pieces of garbage. I mean, it's like the devil. They are the devil. We'll be right back with Kevin Booth straight ahead to give us a cannabis news update and other incredible tidbits. But recap what you just said when we come back and get back into that history, and then I'll hit the big news in the Middle East. Get the film, InfoWarsStore.com.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah. Infowars.com, yeah.
Judge, what is the secret of the universe?
Infowars.com, yeah.
Just amazing, multi-talented patriot, Mike Judge. I don't know why I just said that, why I brought that up. I just need to call him and text him back and go hang out with Mike Judge. You know, that's the good news here, is that so many cool, smart people are awake to the New World Order. And people like, of course, our guest have been awake to it for a very long time. Kevin Booth, award-winning filmmaker. His new film, American Drug War 2, available at the Wall Street Journal, calls the film a game-changing moment for both the film and entertainment industry, as well as the cannabis industry, the Wall Street Journal. That's just some of the incredible headlines. I mean, this is a powerful film. InfoWarsStore.com, a powerful tool to wake people up. I'm going to get into the big geopolitical news and have some breaking food news coming up. But speaking about this, when I've had, say, 100 copies of my magazine, I drop them off on a visiting family in East Texas. They give it to other family, and then the other family who loves me goes, "We're worried about Alex. He's pushing dope in his magazine." And it was hemp oil that's a different version of the plant, no THC, hundreds of studies conservatively about how incredibly it is for lowering cholesterol, the heart, the brain. I mean, it's like coconut oil. I mean, it's just really got a lot of the same attributes. I guess it's cannabinoids or what, you know, but it's a subsection of those. And then it doesn't have the THC or whatever. And it's just the ignorance. And here's another one. Infowars.com has a link to the ABC News piece. Mother threatened for feeding baby goats milk instead of GMO soy formula. It's on record the soy makes women hyperfeminine and boys feminine and leads to breast cancer. On major studies. It's on record their brains don't grow as much. It's on record the formula on average is 75% sugar and stuff like high fructose corn syrup. We've done reports on it. I mean, they've had cases where the formula's killing kids worldwide. Guys, Google a formula causes thousands to die in China, you know, where they even give more sugar and less protein and fat. So they're persecuting people that give their babies things that they need, but then they're persecuting. This shows how predatory the system is. So, Kevin, you've got the floor. You were getting into your research about the Rockefellers and the medicine system. Recap all that and then give us a 5-minute overall cannabis news report.
Okay, well, once again, back just about 100 years ago, most of all of our medicine was plant-based, and in almost every back in the day, doctors used to carry the little black bag, and in every doctor's black bag was all types of different cannabis oils and hemp oil. And to correct you slightly there, the hemp plant is the non-psychoactive cousin to the cannabis plant. Now, there's cannabis plants now that they've bred to have just CBDs instead of THC. THC is what gets you high.
Look, I know you're the expert. All right. I'm saying for laymen out there is the regular hemp will not do anything to you.
Yeah, it's just for fiber. Yeah, it's just for food and fiber and fuel, basically. You can't, you could smoke 20
And it's a
pounds
wonder product, better than DuPont. They lobbied to get rid of it because it would be better than polyester, but go ahead.
And they were able to lump it together into one classification called marijuana, and that's how they got rid of it, and that ties back into to William Randolph Hearst and the logging industry and all that. I mean, so it's like the Hearsts and the Rockefellers that have like a huge history of promoting the drug war agenda. And so when the Rockefellers took over all the medical foundations around 1913, starting in that period, they switched the whole thinking of Western medicine from plant-based, which before then there wasn't like this huge cancer rate, into chemical-based. And it just so happened that they owned all the chemical plants. They owned all the processing. And it turns out that David Rockefeller didn't even take his own medicine, that David Rockefeller lived to be over 100, and he stuck with plant-based medicine. Which just goes to show that he wasn't even taking what he was prescribing to everybody else. He had a full-time,
old-fashioned plant-based MD that was by his side all the time. That's on record, yeah.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. And now another aspect of this that we haven't covered today that's in the movie is that, and for any doubters out there, in 2003, and look this up, our very own Department of Health and Human Services obtained the patent for cannabinoids to be used as a neuroprotectant and an anti-inflammatory. Now, that right there is like the end of the argument. You see our own government, which, by the way, the government is not supposed to be allowed to get patents like this. So that in itself is a very crooked, weird underdealing. And while they're silently arresting everybody, or I should say not silently, while they've been arresting still 800,000 citizens a year, for marijuana-related charges, they're out there making deals with foreign pharmaceutical companies, namely GW Pharmaceuticals out of England, to basically how to tear the marijuana plant down and to turn it into a bunch of different pharmaceutical things that they can patent. And because you can't patent the entire marijuana plant because it's made out of over 60 cannabinoids and so many compounds, it's unpatentable. And that's why you can't just get the marijuana plant as is through the FDA process with the way the FDA is set up. It's a catch-22 where they go round and round. So a lot of these companies, the one company in our film is Cannabis Science out of Denver, Dr. Bob, a really cool, amazing guy who I've been friends with for a long time. They're trying to get the natural derivative of marijuana through the FDA process, and that in itself has been, just an incredible feat. And so basically, it's a race against time. But you got these more evil-minded pharmaceutical companies that are basically their goal in all this is to tear the plant down. And so instead of being able to grow one plant in your backyard that you can be used for anxiety, for sleeplessness, for pain relief, for depression, on and on and on, they want you to have to buy 50 different pills that would be, okay, this is the one cannabinoid we found best for pain. This is the cannabinoid that we find best for headaches. This is the best cannabinoid for menstrual cramps. This one's a spray. This is a pill. This is a syrup. This is a salve. They want to break it down like that. They don't want you to be able to grow the one single plant that's the end all. And they've tried to brainwash the public into thinking that only a crazy person would believe that you could have one answer to all these different problems. They want you to believe that you have to have a separate medication for every little teeny tiny ailment.
But George Washington did smoke it. You can look it up. They called it stomachache hemp, toothache hemp, because he grew hemp. He grew a bunch of other stuff, but he grew what they called the toothache hemp and the stomachache hemp, and that was the kind that, you got a toothache or whatever, you got a stomachache, you get your pipe out, you don't smoke tobacco, which he also grew. George Washington smoked marijuana. He needs to be arrested right now.
Well, and I guess they say the Declaration of Independence was actually drafted on hemp paper. I mean, our wars have been fought with hemp, using hemp for the sails of the ships.
Hemp ropes,
just goes on.
Hemp uniforms. It just goes on.
Yeah, we went through that. There's the whole hemp for victory period where there was actually a period in our history where you had to grow hemp. So it's a very crazy history with the hemp plant. And there's a little chapter in our film about that, about a guy named Dr. Bronner, who, it's like they import thousands and thousands of pounds of hemp oil they have to get it from Canada and China. It's another reason for patriots to be upset right now, because American farmers could be making a fortune growing hemp, but they're not allowed to.
That's the other secret. It grows anywhere.
Chinese people, people in China now are having a hemp renaissance. People in China is getting way ahead of America now on all this hemp R&D. The whole thing, because all of us Americans have our hands tied with these ridiculous laws, while China and other countries are out there racing ahead of us on this deal. And it's just another way for us to be left behind, and we're going to have to buy all our products and get our research from other countries because of these laws.
Well, that's because the globalists are all invested in China. We're not allowed to have anything. Nothing. Yeah. Everything's being shut down. And I tell you, cops pull me over sometimes, usually it's state police, and they go, got any drugs in there? I'm like, no, I don't have the drugs the government brings in. And I don't have marijuana. It just makes me so sick. I'm just so sick of it.
Yeah, man, it's a sad situation, but it's also crazy. I mean, there is some good news on the horizon. I mean, it's interesting to go to Denver right now. I just got back from Denver again since I was on your show again, and I'm filming a thing out there. And all I can say is that Denver is probably a lot like Chicago was when they ended Prohibition. I mean, it is basically people in the streets smoking and, I mean, everybody's got a joint or pipe in their hands. It's kind of crazy and funny to see what happens when Prohibition ends. I hope they don't ruin it by kind of going overboard and becoming a bad example for the rest of the country. But, it just got completely legalized for recreational in Colorado and Washington State. So it's an interesting time to keep your eyes on that. So, where there is a lot of stuff, there is also a lot of forward movement in ending the drug war. So it's a battle. I mean, we're still
I'll say
at a huge tipping point.
Absolutely. Well, great job, Kevin. People can get the film at InfoWarsStore.com. Very important to wake up friends and family. I'll say this, though, as a proviso. And you've said this on air last time you were on, and we've said it privately. There's extremes in everything. The drug war is one of the biggest evils ever to kill our Constitution. It has to end. When you have drug prohibition, it makes more drug use happen, makes it avant-garde, makes criminal groups make money off of it. So it's evil up one side and down the other. But the total pothead movement, where they get it so strong now, and just, I mean, you can abuse marijuana. You can abuse aspirin. You can abuse coconut oil. I mean, there are a lot of people abusing marijuana. Now, I don't think they should have their kids taken away unless they're actually hurting their kids. But I mean, you've admitted to me there's some really people getting screwed up on pot. I mean, pot is not God and it's not perfect, right?
Well, I mean, but this is kind of like what happens with Prohibition, right? This is the reaction. That's why it's interesting to go to Denver and see what's happening in Denver right now, because this is what happens when Prohibition gets lifted in one little area, and that people jump to these extremes. It's also very interesting to note, and this is in the film as well, that you hear the same thing about, like, well, the marijuana today is no longer your parents' Woodstock pot. It's way stronger. But because of Prohibition, they've made the pot stronger and
exactly.
THC
We're out of time,
less
Kevin.
medical.
Now you can watch the InfoWars Nightly News streaming live as it happens for free.
Check it out at Infowars.com/show.